You know that feeling, that like real drive to just get something new, to really wrap your head around it quickly, properly, without feeling like you're just drowning in information. Well, that's why we do the deep dive. And today, we're tackling something lots of you face. And our listener who sent these sources in, thank you. It's figuring out the best resources for learning basic English. It's a huge landscape out there, sometimes a bit much. But you've given us a fantastic starting point, a kind of treasure map, really. So let's explore it.
That's spot on. Yeah, our mission here really is to cut through all that noise. We're looking at the resources available, sure, but we want to pull out the bits that really make a difference. You know, the features, the teaching ideas behind them that actually work. We want to give you a clear path if you're just starting out with English. Find those things that speed things up, give you those little aha moments.
Okay, let's unpack this then. We've got a really great mix here from our listener. We'll kick things off with some of the online options, the websites. First one up is a big name, BBC Learning English, English at the Basics. They're reliable, aren't they? Free lessons covering grammar, vocabulary, listening, the essentials. But the thing that really jumps out for beginners, according to the sources, is the use of short videos and simple explanations. It feels kind of like learning in little manageable chunks.
Exactly. And the brilliance there isn't just avoiding overload, though that's important, and how those short bits work with how we learn over time. Spaced repetition, basically. Each little concept is like a quick win. You get feedback fast, and that builds momentum. It makes tricky grammar seem, well, less tricky. Builds confidence, sure, but it also helps lodge that knowledge in your long-term memory. It's really foundational stuff.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Like building with small bricks, not trying to lift a whole wall at once. Okay, so that's structured lessons. But what if you want something a bit more organic, more like real life chat? The sources mention ESL fast short stories and conversations, and the numbers here are, wow, pretty big. Over 1,500 short stories and everyday dialogues with audio. Sounds amazing for a beginner, maybe slightly intimidating too.
It can sound like a lot, yeah, that's a fair point. But the real strength is how accessible it makes context. Language isn't just words in a list, right? It's how they fit together. These stories, these dialogues, they give you that natural setting. And the audio, oh, that's absolutely vital. Not just for saying the words right, but for catching the rhythm, the ups and downs, the common phrases. So maybe don't try to listen to all 1,500 straight off. Pick a few, listen again and again. Maybe even try saying them along with the audio. It's about really listening deeply to a few things first, not just skimming lots. Trotting your ear for how English actually sounds and feels.
Right, quality over quantity to start with. Makes it feel much more doable. Okay, and talking about motivation, keeping people going. Our listener also flagged up a platform lots of people will know, Duolingo Basic English course, famous for its gamified lessons, right? For vocab and grammar, described as very user-friendly, great for beginners. I wonder though, with these game-like things, is there a risk maybe? Like, could a beginner get caught up in winning points, but maybe not fully understanding things?
That's a really sharp question.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's something to think about. The psychology of games and learning. It works. No doubt. It keeps you coming back, keeps you motivated, makes it feel less like homework, more like fun, which is huge. But you're right. For beginners, the trick is balancing that fun with, actual deliberate learning. Duolingo's brilliant for drilling vocabulary, hammering home basic grammar patterns. Repetition works. But for, say, deeper understanding or tricky spoken nuances, probably need something alongside it. Think of it like your daily reps at the gym for language. Builds muscle, but you still got to use that muscle out in the world.
A daily workout. I like that analogy. Okay, so if Duolingo builds the muscle, maybe you want to use it right away in a more real-world way. The sources point to VOA Learning English. Let's learn English. Now, this one sounds pretty unique. It uses news-based lessons, but with slow, clear speech. Plus, you get the whole package. Video plus transcript plus audio.
Yeah, the ingenuity there is really connecting language to what's happening now. Current events, so you're not just learning words in isolation, you're living them while finding out about the world. Makes it feel relevant, keeps you interested. And that slow, clear speech, that's gold for beginners. Pair that with the transcript you can read along and the video for context. It's what we call multimodal learning. You're seeing it, hearing it, reading it, hits different parts of the brain at once, really helps things stick. Much better for recall later on.
Right, it's like getting the full picture, but slowed down so you can actually process it. Okay, one more online one to round things off here. Our listener mentioned English Class 101, which you can find on YouTube and their own site. They've got free lessons too, grammar, vocab, but also culture, which is interesting. And the sources noted the benefit of daily listening and speaking practice.
Looking at the big picture. Yeah, that daily practice, especially listening and actually trying to speak, it's non-negotiable if you want to get fluent. Just got to do it. But what's really valuable with English Class 101, I think, is bringing in the cultural side. Because language isn't just grammar rules and words, is it? It's about how people use it, the unspoken stuff, the idioms, the social bits. So weaving culture into the lessons, that makes the learning much richer than just memorizing lists. It's about understanding English in action.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. Anyway, we're shifting gears now. Moving from screens to actual pages, books. Our listener also shared some excellent book recommendations for self-study, things you can hold, write in, complements the digital stuff perfectly. First physical book is English for Everyone by DK, the beginner level specifically. DK books are known for being very visual, right? This one has visual guides for grammar, vocabulary, reading, and writing, and crucially, practice exercises with answers.
Oh, yeah, the visual element, especially for beginners grappling with abstract things like grammar, it's huge. Seeing sentence structure laid out visually or verb tenses in a chart just makes it more concrete, less scary somehow. And those exercises with the answers right there, that's critical for self-study. You try something, you check it immediately. It's like having a mini tutor built in, helps you fix mistakes fast and really lock in the learning. It's active, not just passive reading.
Definitely. Okay, next up is a real classic, a book loads of learners really rely on, Essential Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy. The sources highlight this for A1, A2 level learners. So that's your foundational, maybe just heading towards pre-intermediate stage, perfect for dedicated beginners. And it's known for its self-study format with clear examples.
What I always find so compelling about Murphy's book is just how clear and systematic it is. It doesn't try to throw everything at you at once. It breaks grammar down into these really neat, manageable units, almost like I don't know, a perfectly organized toolbox for English rules. If you want that really solid, dependable grammar base, this book is pretty much essential, like the title says. It helps you understand the skeleton of the language so you can start building your own correct sentences confidently.
A toolbox, yeah, that's a great image. Okay, and rounding out the books, our listener shared the Oxford Picture Dictionary. This one's focus is clear. Vocabulary building with pictures. And it's flagged as especially good for absolute beginners.
Absolutely. A picture dictionary like this is just fundamental, especially if you're starting from scratch, maybe with very little English exposure. It directly connects the word to the image. You see a picture of an apple, you see the word apple. That visual link makes it stick so much better than just seeing apple and maybe a translation in your own language. It builds that core vocabulary really intuitively, cuts out the middleman of translation, helps you think in English sooner. Simple idea, but so powerful.
So after looking at all of that, what's the takeaway for you, our listener, trying to learn basic English? I mean, we've covered a huge range here, haven't we? From apps you can use on your phone, videos, news lessons, right through to solid, dependable books you can sit down with. The variety available just from these sorts alone is, well, it's pretty amazing.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's so illuminating, I think, is that within just this selection you shared, there's genuinely something for pretty much every learning style. Are you visual? The DK book, the Picture Dictionary, Do You Learn Best by Listening, ESL Fast, VOA. Need that game element to stay motivated. Duolingo. It shows there isn't one single best way, but rather a whole toolkit you can choose from based on what works for you. It's about finding your fit. And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, maybe the most effective way forward for you is actually to combine a few different things. Create your own little learning ecosystem. So maybe you use Duolingo for 10 minutes every day for that vocab workout, like we said. But then maybe you spend some time with Murphy's grammar book for the deeper structure. And then listen to some VOA news stories to work on your listening and get some real-world context. Maybe use the Picture Dictionary when you encounter new objects. It's that mix, that synergy between different tools that can really boost your progress and keep things interesting.
And there you have it. Hopefully, a much clearer map through those first steps of learning English, based entirely on the great resources you sent us. We hope this deep dive hasn't just listed things, but given you a real sense of direction, maybe some inspiration to get started or keep going.
Which does raise a really important question for you, the listener, to think about now. How could you strategically mix and match some of these? Which digital tools, which print resources, how can you build a routine that feels right for you, keeps you engaged, and genuinely helps you move forward? Because ultimately, crafting that personal blend, that's where the real power lies.
That really is the challenge, isn't it? And the opportunity. So maybe pick one that caught your eye, perhaps try combining two. Just take that first step. Every little bit counts. Happy learning, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.